Welcome back to Leadership from the Kitchen. My name is Wendy Ellis Green with P31 Consulting and P31 Academy. We are in a leadership series in Leadership from the Kitchen based on helping your teams become strategic advisors. We've spent the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks helping your team develop strategic thinking skills. But that's all faced internally. Now it's time to turn those skills and face them outward to client relationships. And today we're learning from one of the most respected positions in hospitality, the sommelier. Sommeliers don't just serve wine. They conduct a consultation. They ask about preferences and they ask to understand the occasion that you're celebrating. They also want to educate you, but all of this is in preparation for them making recommendations. This is the model for transforming your team into trusted advisors. We know that many teams approach requests like a basic server does. Well, why would you like? The client points to something in the menu, and that's what is brought and poured, and that's it. Very transactional, very simple, but very limited value. But if they took the sommelier's approach, your team might ask similar questions to the sommelier. So as the sommelier is beginning the conversation with a guest, they usually begin by trying to understand the occasion. So a sommelier might ask something like, what's the occasion tonight? Are you celebrating something special? Now, what might the consultant's version of that question look like? I think it would look something like, what's driving this initiative? Is there a specific milestone or opportunity that you're looking to capitalize on now? Next, they might need to assess the experience level of their guest. So sommelier might say, what wines have you enjoyed recently? The consultant's version of that question might be something like, what solutions or approaches have worked well for you and your organization in the past? They also explore the preferences of their guests. So a sommelier might say, how do you feel about trying something new versus staying with something familiar? The consultant's version of that same question might be, how comfortable is your team with implementing some innovative approaches versus building on some of the proven methodologies that you guys have in place? One other step that they might take is the sommelier always considers the pairing. So a sommelier's question might be, what are you having for dinner tonight? The consultant's version of that question might be, what are your key business initiatives for this quarter or even for this year? I am part of a wine group, and our group met at a restaurant on the Disney Springs property called Wine Bar George. The owner is 𝘁𝗫𝗄𝗃, and he's also a master sommelier. His team worked with our group's leader, who is also a budding sommelier herself, to prepare an evening of tastings and pairings for our group. When we arrived, the lead sommelier for the evening confirmed our desire to explore specific regions and specific wineries. Then he went on to explain why each wine was paired with each dish, right down to the cheeses on the charcuterie board. I even remember him pointing out a specific cheese on the charcuterie board and saying to a friend that she might not like that cheese while she's drinking the wine that she was enjoying. Wow, that level of understanding is incredible. But this is exactly how your team should approach their client requests. Instead of just asking, what do you need? They should be conducting strategic consultations with their clients. Every conversation should be this way. A sommelier doesn't just know the wine. They understand how the wine enhances the entire dining experience. And your team members shouldn't just know their own services. They should understand how their work enhances their clients' business outcomes. I don't know if you've noticed this before, but sommeliers always present options. They say things like, this Chardonnay, I'm a Chardonnay drinker, this Chardonnay is crisp and mineral driven. I know this because I hear it so much. And it's perfect if you want to pair it with the fish because it won't overpower the fish. You might also consider the Pinot Grigio because it's very fruit forward and it would complement this sauce of this other dish you're considering. And the Sincere is very complex, and that would probably go best with this dish. They present options, but not just options. They also give clear reasoning so their customers can make an informed decision. They don't just offer the choices. Your team should learn the same consultative approach. Your team members might say something like, based on your objectives, I see you could go in 3 different directions. Option A is X and offers these benefits. Option B incorporates Y, and that could differentiate you in the market. And option C is much more aggressive, but could accelerate your timeline significantly. But let me explain the trade-offs. Do you see that? Do you understand how different that is? But think about the sommelier. How do they know so much? It's because they taste everything and can speak from experience. And your teams need to develop this same depth of knowledge about your services and your clients' services, industries, and the marketplace. They need to stay in tune. If we think about a sommelier tasting and developing that depth of knowledge, how can we translate that into our team so that they can develop that sommelier level expertise for your team and for their clients? All right, so let's think about some of the things that they do. They do immersion. So your team should understand the client and their industries as well as their own expertise. They also understand what are all the Chardonnays. So they have this competitive awareness. Your team should also understand your client's competition and what they're considering. And sommelier also takes a look at the trends, and they know what's shifting in the market that might affect price, that might affect availability. So your challenge for this week is to shadow your best team member during a client presentation. And after, ask some questions that challenge them to level up. Questions like, what questions could you have asked to better understand their needs? What additional options could you have presented to them? Or how could you have better educated them on the trade-offs? Help them see the difference between just being an order taker and that consultative strategic advisor. Until next time, keep cooking up great leadership by helping your team become sommelier type advisors. Have a great weekend.